Hi, my name is Francine Sinclair, and the name of my speech is Don't Let the Past Hold You Back. Okay, so I was 9 years old, and I was in the middle of the JFK airport, super excited because I was on my way to Las Vegas with my mom. I had begged my mom for days to go on this trip, which wasn't supposed to be a vacation, but I made it a vacation in my head. So I had gone out days before and bought out, this really nice outfit. I had on a black pinstripe skirt and a shirt with it and a hat. My goal was to try to look like a movie star, but I'm not sure that it was working. So I was really happy because I was thinking about all the fun things that I was going to do in Las Vegas. In my head, Las Vegas was going to be like Disney World, right? And we arrived that evening in Las Vegas and we went out for dinner. We took pictures. We had a great time that night. We had my favorite food. And then the next morning, as most kids would do, I went out to the pool. The hotel room in which we were staying had direct access to the pool, so my mom was able to see me from the room. So I spent the whole day in the pool. And after I got tired of being in the pool, obviously after probably 5 hours, I had met some kids in the pool and I was playing with them all day. I decided to go back to the hotel room. When I went back to the hotel room, I asked my Mom, could you please order a vanilla milkshake for me? And I watched my mom as she walked across the room, ordered the vanilla milkshake, in her funny Spanish accent. Hello, can I please have a vanilla milkshake, please? I'm just kidding. So she ordered the vanilla milkshake, right? And I decided to go upstairs because the hotel room in which we were staying had 2 levels. The downstairs was the living room and the upstairs was the bedroom and the bathroom. So I went upstairs, took a shower, and after I got out of the shower, I had that relaxed feeling. I said, I'm going to sit down. I sat on the bed. I turned on the TV, and they were playing, my favorite show, The Dukes of Hazzard. And I know that a lot of you can't relate to that, probably don't even know what that is, but The Dukes of Hazzard, believe it or not, was the show back in those days, and it was one of my favorite shows. I was watching them, flying through the air with their car, and all of a sudden, I noticed some movement from the corner of my eye. So when I looked to my left, I saw a man standing at the top of the stairs with a gun in his hand, and a man that I didn't know, of course. And then I noticed that he stepped inside the room. And as he stepped inside the room, this fight or flight instinct just took over, just took over my brain. And I knew I couldn't flee because the only way to flee was through him. So I stood up on the bed thinking that I was going to have to put up a fight. And as the man approached me, because it was a man, approached me, he put the gun away, said something to me, which I don't know what he said. And then he grabbed me. He proceeded to grab me. And he pulled me off of the bed. Of course, I was hysterical the whole time. He grabbed me and started dragging me or carrying me, and sometimes dragging me down the stairs because I was putting up such a fight. I was scratching, punching, biting, everything that I could do. For God's sake, this is a guy that I don't know. He has a gun. How else would I react? How would you react? Especially being a kid. So when we got to the bottom of the stairs, I turned around and I noticed that there were 3 or 4 other men like him standing there with my mother. And one of the guys approached me and said, if you would have smacked me the way you smacked him, I would have smacked you right back. You're a lucky kid. And I was in utter shock. I didn't know what to do, what to say, what to think. Who were these people? So then all of a sudden, there was a knock on the door. Bam, bam, bam. Loud knock on the door. All the guys looked at each other. And then each one of them pulled a gun out from their pants or wherever they had it and pointed towards the door. All of them. I put my hands on my mouth like this because I thought that if I said anything or even made so much as a sound, they would turn around and shoot me. One of the guys approached the door slowly and then all of a sudden flung it open. It was the waiter with my vanilla milkshake. And he screamed bloody hell when he saw all those guys pointing guns at him. One of the guys, the same guy that said that I was lucky, took the milkshake and just gulped the whole thing down. I don't know if it was the adrenaline, but he drank my milkshake, which bewildered me even more. So after that, things kind of settled down, and I was sitting down wondering what was going on. They were talking to my mother, they were talking amongst themselves. And then it was something they said that made it finally dawn on me that their target was my mother. She was under arrest. And the moment that I realized that, I went ballistic. I lost it. I completely lost it. I started screaming, crying, begging. I thought that if I screamed really loud, if I begged really hard, if I pleaded enough, that they would somehow feel sorry for me and go away, is what I wanted them to do. But it actually had the opposite reaction. The more that I screamed and begged, the more they ignored me. And it came to a point where it was like I was painted in the wall no matter what I did. And my mother was trying to calm me down, but nothing that she did helped at all. Then after what seemed like hours had gone by, and suddenly they all stood up. They made my mother stand up. They put her hands behind her back and they handcuffed her. And as they were walking towards the door, my mother turned around and she told me that, she said, don't worry, baby, I'll see you next week. And of course, I believed it. Of course, now I know that it was a way to calm me down, but I believed it. And it did serve its purpose. It did calm me back down a little bit. As they left me behind with two of the guys who stayed with me overnight. And in the morning, they put me on a plane to Puerto Rico, where my mother's parents live. Now, the distance from Las Vegas to Puerto Rico is quite a long distance. And I had to connect to get there. That was the longest day of my life. The most frightening and the longest day of my entire life. I had never and have never been that scared. I cried the whole time. Nothing that the flight attendants did helped me at all. Nothing. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was probably the most traumatizing event in my life. And it took me years to realize that as bad as it was, those events had passed. They were past. They were gone. I kept on living my life for so many years as if those events had just taken place a few days before. I guess that's probably trauma. But it took me a long time to come to the realization that the past is gone, and no matter what, it was never coming back, and that the past has no effect, cannot affect my present unless I let it. Your past has no control over your present or your future unless you let it.